Alright, so today is the 11th of October, and I just wanted to do a little update because I was contemplating different ways of attaching these panels onto the hull. And I've made a decision, and thought I'd just let you know what I got going here now. This is the sheet that I put the fiberglass on. There's a 10-ounce fiberglass, 3 coats of epoxy on there, and then I put the copper naphthenate on the back side of this, and I've also done the transom of the boat in copper naphthenate. So I decided to go with an adhesive, polyurethane type of adhesive, and that's why I'm putting the copper naphthenate on, because I'm not going to get 100% glue coverage on this. I don't really think it's necessary. Anyway, what I decided to do was above the water line, I'm going to use this PL Premium construction adhesive. Now, it's not approved for use underwater, which this isn't going to be underwater. Even on the underwater panels, the panels are going to be on, underwater. I don't think this would be a problem using it because it is a waterproof glue. It's just not approved for underwater use, and we're not going to actually use it underwater. It's going to be, the plywood's going to be sealed with fiberglass and epoxy, and then of course paint, the hull's going to be covered in waterproof materials. So theoretically, where this glue is attached to the planking, between the planking and the plywood, should never be totally saturated with water. Not going to say it's not ever going to get wet, so we can't rule it out. And that's why I decided to use a marine adhesive below the water line. Now this stuff's $7.50 a tube, which I can buy locally. This stuff is about $17.50 a tube, so almost twice as expensive. And I can get it locally, but I can get it off the internet for $12.50 a tube if I buy a bunch of it. So I ordered a couple dozen tubes of this stuff, which I don't really need right now, but because this stuff is all pretty much above water line. Now I did do some tests. Oh, one other thing here, this Loctite, this PL Marine, it is very similar to like 4200, closer to 5200 maybe. I know Practical Sailor did a test on this, or different marine sealants and adhesives, a few years ago, and this came back as real highly rated by them, by the testers. And I've been using this. This is a tube I had, and you can see I got the little silicone covers on the tips to keep the tubes from all hardening up. And this works all right if you keep it fairly well sealed and use it on a fairly regular basis. And I do use this on other odds and ends in the boat, so I've got several tubes of this stuff already. But when you're starting to talk about gluing plywood 4x panels on, it's going to take a lot of it. So we're going to use these two products, and I did a test here with some of this regular PL Premium, and you can see I really scooshed it out here, put way too much on there, and that was a result of my new power caulking gun, or adhesive dispenser, what have you. And yeah, I was going a little too fast there. Needed to slow it down a little bit. But anyway, I wanted to test, this is the plywood that I'm using, and I wanted to test this on a piece of treated wood. I have tested this with epoxy before, treated wood with epoxy before, not had any issues. I will probably let this sit a little bit, give it a couple days to cure, and then I'll test it to see how well it holds onto the wood, which I'm sure is going to be fine. Because I've used other PL products, less higher performance PL products, and they've done a fantastic job, even with outdoor exposure. So I'm not worried about this really adhering at all. But anyway, we'll give it a test. And the other one I might throw in a bucket of water or something just to see how it does through some time in water. These little pieces here of plywood, this is the 3/4 inch stuff that I'm using in the boat, and this is the 1/2 inch stuff that I've been using, which is what we got here to put on the outside too. And I did a boil test on this last night, and I overdid it a little bit. As you can see, I scorched the things. I ran the pot out of water. I ran this 2.5 hours, boiled it for 2.5 hours, and then it ran out of water, and I didn't catch it right away. And So I stunk the house up with burning wood. But as you can see, this plywood is all perfect after 2.5 hours, and then getting dried out and heated up, and it's still, there's no delamination or anything. Just wanted to do that test. This is a premium plywood. It's not a marine grade plywood, but they say it uses the same glue as marine grade plywood. And when I was at the building center, I was looking at their marine grade plywood, which is twice as expensive as this. And the real big difference in the plywoods, I mean, they use probably a little bit better quality wood on the marine grade, but I'm not so sure about that either. The real big difference is gaps in the laminates, in the interior laminates. And if you look at this stuff, you can see very, very few gaps. There's one down here and one tiny one here. And of all these 9 panels laying here, that's the only 2 gaps in the core that I could find. So that's you know, really what you want for a boat application is nice, tight, solid cores. And this stuff is that. And George said too, you didn't need to use marine grade plywood. He went through all the different possibilities, and he was pretty confident that you didn't need to use marine grade, and I'm not going to, because I don't think the marine grade, at least the stuff that I have available here, is really any better than this, to be honest with you. So that's the plywood. We've boil tested it. The glues are fine. We've heat tested it. The glue was fine. We're gonna test its adhesion abilities, and then it's the glue anyway, and then the glue's ability in the water. But like I said, for underwater use, underwater panels, the bottom stuff, and probably some of the sides, going up the sides here a little bit, we'll use the marine adhesive. This stuff, this marine adhesive, is, like I said, is somewhere between 4200 and 5200. Probably isn't quite as hard setting as 5200, but not quite as soft as 4200. But like I said, it's been real highly rated. So that's what we're going to do. And that's going to make putting these panels up just a lot easier. Because the real problem I could see was, if you've got these things all coated in epoxy, the planking on the boat covered in epoxy, it's going to be such a slippery, slimy, messy job that, you know, boy, that was going to be tough. So anyway, we're going to use the adhesives in the tubes. And John had his doctor's appointment today. He was a cardiologist. He's always worried he's going to have a heart attack or something. So he had a cardiology test today, and they said no problems. He's fine. Heart's absolutely fine. Blood vessels are fine. So we'll have to put him to work now. Now that the doctor says he's healthy enough, we'll put him to work, help him get these panels up here. But with a little luck, we'll start on that tomorrow. And one other thing is, these are the screws I'm going to use to attach the plywood to the planking. These are what, 1 5/8, so they won't. I can bury them in there just a little bit, run them just a little bit deep, and yet they won't go through the 1.5 inch planking. And that's actually the screws that I've got in here now too. You can see that'll go down in there, and you can countersink them just a little bit. Well, quite a bit you could actually. But this is another thing that George suggested, going with these coated deck screws. So that's what we're going to do. But those are the decisions that have been made, and we're just going to go with it. You know, I'm pretty sure the screws alone would have been enough. I think these adhesives are going to be just absolutely fine. I wanted to use the adhesives in addition to screwing it on, simply because I wanted that extra stability that glue would afford, and I think this stuff is gonna do the job just fine. All right, that's my little update for today.